Hello everybody, welcome to my channel. Before starting my video, if you didn't subscribe my channel, please do, and do not forget to turn on notifications as I'm sharing every week great contents for you. Alright, in this lesson we will continue with validations. Previously we finalized our services and controllers. Now it is time to make validations, exceptions, and we are step by step going to finish this lesson. Alright, let's start validations. Now I'm going to create my validation models. I'm heading to DTO and I'm going to create a new folder in exactly here. Okay, new folder. Let's say DTO. I'm going to put all of them into the DTO, and I'm going to create another folder which is going to be named validation. Alright, now I'm going to create another folder, validations. Alright, now let's step by step create our validation classes. First of all, I'm going to create base validation. Actually, base client validation is better. Base client validation. Alright, let's have a look our client classes. Which one is, I'm just gonna put common properties in base client validation. As I see, these 4 property, they are common. Now I'm going to put them all. Which one, now I'm going to check which one is need validation. Let's go our configuration. Where is my configuration? Client configuration. Alright, so they have max length and all of them is required address, phone, company name, owner. Yeah, address, company name, owner, and phone, right? This phone company name, yeah, it's correct. So all of them has required attribute. Yep. With I'm gonna send with error message. Error message is going to be, let's say, I'm just thinking, should I use company name? I'm just going to use, okay, let's say company, no, it's going to be string format, sorry. Company name is required. Let's copy all of them. Owner. I'm gonna say the company owners, or yeah, company owner. Company owner is required. Company address is required. Company phone is required. Okay, what is the other one? Max length. Start with the address, so 500. Let's have a look. Max length is going to be 500, and error message, let's say this is address, right? Address must be 500 characters or less. Yeah, perfect. And the second one is phone 14. And the other one is company name 50. Okay, let's fix the integers as well. Phone is 14. and the owner is 50 as well. Okay, let's just copy directly this one. 50 50. Okay, let's fix the strings, the phone number, and this is the company address, right? Company address is address anyway. Owner name must be blah blah, and this is the company name. Company name must be 50 or less. All right, all of them is done. Now have a look our client create. So we have is base validation is enough for it, but I'm not gonna inherit. We're just going to use metadata type. So client DTO has invoices and ID. Let me think. Can the client DTO invoices can be null? So I'm gonna leave as it is. The client DTO for the invoice, it's all good. And client update. So we don't need for invoice anyway. So we need for update and the create. So base client validation is work for update and create. Okay. All we need to do is now metadata type. Is that metadata type? Type of base client validation. I think that's it. So we add this one and we have our base client validation. Perfect. Let's add these for client update as well. Perfect. All we need to do now, if you would like to change anything else, we can come here and manipulate our validations. Perfect. Let's continue invoice DTO. Let's add new folder. Let's say DTO. I'm gonna put all invoice DTO through the folder. Once it's completed, I'm going to create another folder which is called validation, same as before. Yep, create new folder. Let's say validations. Perfect. I'm gonna save everything and close all tabs. Close all tabs. Yep. Alright, let's minimize the client section. Let's continue with invoice DTO. Okie dokie. Now I need invoice create and invoice update for add items and remove items. Alright, I need to use a validation for just 1, 2, and 3. Okay, let's create a base validation folder. Base invoice validations is a plural. Let's make it singular. Alright, base invoice validation. Perfect. Let's have a look at create. We have a date time PO, and we're not touching these two. We have client ID. Okay, now I'm gonna copy all of them, paste here. Let's delete these items. Okay, we have invoice date, PO number, client ID, and let's have a look update. We have ID, date, time, PO. These are generic, and invoice item create DTO, and I have that one as well, and it couldn't be empty. I'm gonna take this one as well. Let me actually this is invoice item create and this is invoice item update. Leave as it is for now because this is going to be base validation. Yep, this is going to be base validation. Okay, I'm going to create another folder, sorry, class. Let's say invoice update for add items validation, copy all of them, and I'm going to create another one for remove items validation. Okay, let's add it. Perfect. Now I'm going to get my base invoice validation. I'm going to use inherit. I'm inheriting from base invoice validation. Yep, perfect. Now I'm gonna add my add items TTO property to here, and this is going to be for update. Sorry, yeah, remove items comes to remove items validation. Perfect. And I'm going to add my metadata validations, metadata type of, this is for add items, right? Invoice update. Which one? Add items validation. Yeah. I'm gonna copy this and paste here, and this is going to be for the update. I'm gonna explain what I did right now. Just give me a second. Let me finalize it. Control RG. Perfect. Okay, basically I create a base validation file, and I'm going to put the validations here. Then I have two different validations. I need two different validations for item create and for item update. So I just inherit base invoice validations. Then I gave my metadata type to related validation folder. This is what I did. Okay, let's do our validations now. Let me have a look quickly. Invoice item config. No, this is the invoice config. Okay. Client ID is required. So this is the client ID. Let's give a required error message. Client ID is required. Alright, let's continue. Invoice date and PO number is required. Let's add those two as well. Invoice date. Sorry, this is PO number. Let's copy. PO number is required. Invoice date is required. Client ID is required. Perfect. Let's continue. Alright, these are AutoSeed data. Perfect. So these validations is done, and also they cannot be empty. Let me think. If I try to create an invoice item create TTO, can I send a null item? I can't send, and that's why I need to. Actually, I have invoice create ID, right? Invoice item create DTO. Invoice item create DTO. Yeah. This is little bit okay. This is little bit seems weird. This is invoice item create DTO in update section. So we are covering this 3 plus that one. Yeah, I can use this one. This for invoice create as well. So we are using invoice create, item create DTO as well. Anyway, so basically this cannot be null. Okay, let's add required error message. Please assign at least one item. Yep. And this is invoice item update DTO. Let me have a look. Okay, invoice item update DTO. Perfect. Please assign at least one item. If we are updating, can it be null? Let me think for a second. If we send a null object while we removing items, for removing items, yeah, we have to, okay, I'm gonna think while I was testing. Let's keep as it is for now. Okay, I'm gonna think about this for this too. Let's continue invoice item DTO. I'm going to create another folder here called DTO. Let's put everything in the DTO. And now add our validation folder. Let's add a base validation class. Base invoice item validation. Okay, let's have a look now. Great. So name, price, quantity, these three is common for all of them, I assume. Name, price, quantity, great. Update name, price, quantity, yeah. And we forgot add ID requirement for the other one. Okay, we're gonna go through again one more time. Let's leave for a second. Remove item. Okay, we're going to add validations for them as well. Add invoice item. Okay, this is base validation. Let me open my invoice item configuration. Name, price, quantity, three of them is required and two of them has requirements. Okay, let's go back now. Required error message. Name of what? Product name, yeah, or item name. Item name is required. Item price is required. Item quantity is required. Okay, let's go back our configuration. So has max length. Name has max length. Where's my, okay, save everything and close again. It's a little bit messed here up. Okay, add invoice. No, this is what I need. We got has max length. I'm gonna copy from my client validation. Invoice item has max length 50. Perfect. And not compound name. This is going to be item name. Item name must be 50 character or less. All right. So these base invoice item validations has been done. Now I'm going to create another class, invoice item update validation. Is that the one? No, this is wrong place. Let's put it here. Invoice item. Update. Okay, we have ID here, so it cannot be null. Let's inherit from base validation, base invoice item validation. Yeah. I'm gonna add my ID here, so it is going to be required. We forgot to add these ID validation for other GTOs, and now I'm going to add all of them. Item ID is required. Perfect. Now I'm going to add my validations to my create DTO metadata type of base validation, base invoice validation. It is going to be enough for create, for update, metadata type of invoice update, invoice item update validation. Here we go. Perfect. It's done. Okay, let's continue with add invoice items. I'm going to add a special one for this. Add invoice item validations, or just validation. Yeah. Let's add metadata type. Add invoice item validation. So we have in these two. Actually, this is just has just two we can add on it, but I'm gonna make it separately. Never mind. Okay, let's continue doing it separately. So we have invoice ID. Basically, I'm gonna copy from here, not here, so here. Or I'm gonna do something different. Let's say invoice item ID validation. This is ID validation, okay. This is the base invoice item validation, and this is ID validation. We're receiving the base invoice here, so this is what update. But I'm gonna switch it now. So base invoice item and invoice item validation. I'm just thinking, can I take invoice item validation alone? It's not gonna happen. Okay, never mind. Let's reverse everything. What? No. Item, okay. Let's come back here. No. It's too much. Base invoice item validation. Okay. Let's change the name. Again, invoice item update validation. Alright, let's do the same as before. Let's just add ID here. Invoice ID. Invoice ID is required, and item list is required. Alright, I'm gonna create now another class for this is, let me have a look, remove invoice item. Okay, remove invoice item validation. Let's copy this too. All right, invoice ID is required, and item list is required. I guess we add our validation wrong place. Here we go. Yeah, perfect. I think all done. Let's add our metadata type. Remove invoice item validation. This one is alright, this is okay, and that's okay. Save everything, close all tabs. Let's go back our client. So I need to add my client update validation. Let's inherit from base client validation, and basically I'm going to add ID client ID is required, and client update type of client update validation. Okay, this is fixed as well. Let's have a look our invoice section. We have create. Yeah. This is listing operation. This is listing operation. Add items. But this is update and update. So we need ID for both of them. This is base, right? This is so invoice create using base as well. No, sorry. Invoice create is using base. Let me have a look. Invoice create DTO. This is using update. Okay. The thing is, I need to add ID for both of them. So if I add the ID here, this is going to be this is a little bit tricky. So I'm going to create for create as well, I think. This is the create. But we need a validation for ID. Okay. This is what I'm going to do right now. Let's add ID validation. I'm gonna copy from here. Let's copy an ID validation, and I'm gonna add this ID validation. This is an ID item, right? Okay, invoice ID is required. Let's copy. Invoice ID is required. This is base validation, date, time, PO number, client. Okay, I'm going to create another class, invoice create validation. Inherit from base invoice validation. Yeah, and I'm going to add this one, which is same as that one. And I'm going to give invoice create validation as a typo for create. Now we got rid of from ID. Let's save everything. If we don't need validation for the collections, we will see we can get rid of, we can fix this class folder and file system. Close all tabs. Perfect. All validations is completed right now. Now next I'm going to build our validation attribute system. Let's create a validation folder and class. Add new folder. Validation attribute. Or just validation attribute. Let's type attribute. Okay. Add. Actually, I'm gonna give filters, so it's going to be a filter anyway. Okay, let's add new class. Validation filter attribute, and we're going to inherit from action filter attribute. All right. Now all we need to do is overwrite an action executing method. Overwrite on action executing. This is what I would like to use it. Now, every time our system approaching our action methods in controller, this filter is going to be triggered and we're going to check our model state. If model state is false, oops, what's happening? Model state. Why I couldn't get the model state? Oh, alright, sorry, it's located in context. Okay. Context. There is too much A here. Okay. Is valid. Perfect. If context model state is valid, if it's false, now it means we got some problem in our forms. Okay, so we're going to get errors. Context model state values. Our errors located in values. Okay, so we're going to use a select many, so it can be the values is, as you can see, a kind of collection. So we're going to use a select many. Let's have a look what is X here. As you can see, model state entry. We're going to get all model state entry in our values, okay? And this model state entry has errors. After we get all errors, as you can see, error is a kind of collection. That's why we said select many. We are selecting collections in collections. So this is select many. And then we're going to use select now. So we're going to select error messages. Let's have a look at our X. As you can see, we catch model error. And we're going to cast this to list. Sometimes I'm forgetting to use vertical coding. If you use vertical type coding, it is really easy to understand what you type while you're coding. It's really to read understandable coding technique. Okay, so if we have errors, guys, so it means we have a problem in our model. So we need to return error messages. Context dot result new. Our results are always object result because we are returning our own error messages. Object result. All right. The value is our own custom response DTO. Or let's think for a second. The object result, it is asking us a value, right? Can I return just bad request object result? Let me think for a second about it. Actually, we can return object result. Let's try to add our custom response DTO. Here we go. We can return it. And let's give no content DTO because we're going to return a fail. Yep. So the status code is going to be 400. This is user entry error messages, and string errors is going to be the errors. All right. Return value is completed. Anything else should I do? Okay, it is going to be triggered if we have invalid model state. Perfect. It seems it's all done. Now we need to add this filter, validation filter attribute to our services, guys. Let's get into our extension. Where is our extension? This is our service extension. Okay, let me get to my, okay. Actually, it needs to enter in program CSV because I'm gonna use controller directly. I'm not gonna edit extension for now, I assume. Let me check my previous notes if it's any changes. Okay, it has to be in controller exactly. So I'm going to use an delegate here, which is already embedded in controllers. We're going to get the options. This is going to be an action delegate. Option filters. We're going to add a new filter here. New validation filter attribute. Alright, now this filter attribute, it is going to be run all controller and action methods in our project. Okay, save everything. Anything else should we do? Let me check. Alright, let's run the application and try to test all of them. Hopefully it is going to work. And I'm going to make a couple of adjustments once I finish this section. Alright. Here we go. Let's try to, okay, not you. Let's try to post a data for client. So we have 4 of them, right? Let's send a null object for company name. Let's execute. Alright, the request field is required. This is default null object result error messages. We're going to override it as well. Alright, don't worry about it. This is intentionally I received that one. So we're going to override it. So don't forget, all the response body, all the response type must be our custom response DTO type to receiving just one type model. This is important while you're creating an API. Okay, let's give another, try to have another error messages, which is going to be 50 character we need to add, right, for company name. Let's add more than 50 now. It is going to be more than 50, I guess. Let's execute now. Okay, different savings, hidden exceptions. Why we didn't receive our error messages? Let me have a look. Our filter attribute. Did we something wrong on our models, on our DTO? client DTO, client create DTO, base client validation. Is that the one? Metadata. Is that model metadata type? I guess I did wrong thing. I guess this is model metadata type, guys. Alright. Now it should work. Let's give more than 50 data. Let's execute now. Company name must be 50 character or less. And this is again, okay, the error messages is okay, but the response type is different from ours. Let's override it first, and model meta type is the correct one. Let's fix all of them first. Model metadata type. All right, let's continue. Let's continue invoice section. Yeah. This one and that one. Alright, let's save everything again. Not you. Close all tabs. And minimize the project. Now I'm going to have a look the overriding the response model, guys. Let's continue our extensions. I'm going to add this to our extension. Let's go services and configure. Oops, not you. Configure. So we have API behavior option class. We're going to call it API behavior options. Now we're going to touch the options. And we're going to suppress default messages. Suppress model state invalid filter. Okay, let's set it true and run the application again. Let's see the results. We should see our own validation results. Post try it out. Let's send an empty data, null data. Alright, data is null, status code 400 errors, the request field is required, blah blah blah. Okay, error message is not coming. I'm gonna take that error messages as well. Okay, let's add, because this is kind of automatic null receive messages. Once we edit data annotations, I remember I override it as well, but I just couldn't remember right now. I had to have a look my previous project, and I'm gonna show you how I gonna do this. Let's continue with, for now, other error messages. Let's add 50 different, sorry, 50, more than 50 characters. Company name must be 50 character or less. This is working, and this is going to work for the other one as well. Let's continue with the collection ones. This is what I'm curious much more than the others. Okay, I'm gonna send the null object for invoice items. And let's see what's gonna happen if I send an empty invoice items. Okay, this is another okay, the response is okay, the error is working, so it is required, it is working as well. Just we need to overwrite null object results. Perfect, it is working anyway. So let's continue, remove items. Where is the remove items? Okay, let's try it out. If I send empty instead of null, what's gonna happen? Invoice not exist. Okay, do we have any invoice? Okay, we have invoice 9 with a couple of invoice items. I am going to give, where's my invoice? Okay, this is remove invoice items. Okay, 9. Okay, we can send empty, but we can't send null. Yep, correct. Let's check the invoice items one more time. Alright, there is no changes. Perfect. So I'm not able to send an empty invoice items, I assume. But if I send empty string or more than 50. Okay, let's price 1, quantity 2, name more than 50, invoice number 9. Try to add this object to our invoice ID 9. Item name must be 50 character or less. All is working, guys. You can test one by one all of them, but it seems they are all working. All we need to do is override null object error messages. Okay, I'm gonna have a look that one. Give me a second. I'm gonna have a look and we will continue where we left. Okay, I did a quick research right now and we did everything correct. This is not about us. Let me show you. Actually, the error messages we can't override is a different error message. Let's try and I will show you. If you remember, we add required error messages. If you delete all line with the field name, and if you send execute, let's stop those breakpoints. As you can see, company name is required. This is correct. We sent a correct JSON format. Okay. Now let's put back. It's if I just send company name field with empty data, and this is a JSON format failure. So this is not about sending null or about the validation what we add as an attribute in our validation classes. Okay, as you can see, this is completely different error messages. Okay, now I'm going to put this line here and I'm going to show you in our validation attribute. Let's put an override. Okay, now I'm gonna send another request. Let me have a look. This is the failed format error. Let's send it. Let's put the breakpoint here. Let's have a look at our errors. The error is, as you can see, different. Okay, let's come context. Let's go our model state and let's have a look. As you can see, the request is the problem is the request. Okay, the key is request and invalid. Okay, let's continue. And now I'm going to delete whole line and send again. Now let's have a look to error messages. This is the model state. As you can see, the problem is company name. Now it's all good. So how can we override JSON error messages then? Let's stop the application. Once we get the error messages, I'm going to put another logic here. All right. If errors dot so we have list string, right? Okay, any dot if it's there any contains now any, let's get inside contains. Okay, I forget the okay, if I say request here, because the key was request, right? I'm going to put another error message here, failed errors. I'm going to specify that errors now. So this is a list string error, so I'm gonna add, let me see what can I do for that errors. I'm just thinking, how can I specify those error messages? Okay, let's add a for each. Okay, and this is error message, right? JSON. Okay, error is plus equal, or let's say error is error dot, error is error dot, no, plus, not like this, JSON format error. Let's put a space and plus that error. Okay, so this is a string for each iteration variable. Okay, what can I do for that error? I'm thinking for temporary error variable. Okay, so it's created, and I want I'm gonna create a new error list here, new list string error. Let's say system error. All right, so I'm going to add new errors to temporary error, and I'm gonna send a system error instead of errors. But if it's not contains, guys, I'm gonna send my normal error messages. Let's save it and let's see the result, how it's going to be. I just made this up codes. Okay, where is the problem? So where is the problem here? Okay. Is there any problem with brackets? I guess we need one more. Yeah. Let's run the application now. I really like to modify all default things comes with the application, and it's really fun to work with them, guys. Okay, let's execute. Okay, we couldn't eliminate, or we couldn't do this. Let's put an breakpoint here. Why it's not working? We did receive same error message again. Let's execute. Okay, so we have the error messages. Okay, temporary error is JSON format error. Perfect. We have one. We have two. Okay, okay, this is going to be else. It should be else for that one because we don't have any return here. Okay, let's use else here and put this return here. Okay, now it must work. Let's try one more time. Let's execute. Okay, remove the breakpoint anymore. We don't need it. Okay, JSON format error, we specified again. So if we delete comma, for example, let's execute JSON format error again. If we delete, okay, instead of, let's delete it. Sometimes we forget the comma at the end of the last property. Let's execute JSON format error. Okay, we always have JSON format error now. Perfect. It is really nice. We are catching the system errors and we are modifying it with our own response body and or error messages. Perfect. It's all working. Let's close everything. Let's save everything. I think our validation is working quite nice. Let me have a look. It's already been 55 minutes, guys. I'm going to finish this lesson. If you have any question or if you struggle on something about this lesson, please do not hesitate to drop comment below the video. I'm here to help you all the time. If you like the video, I really appreciate it. It really motivates me to create new contents. Take care of yourself. See you on next lesson. Bye bye.